At the very end, Ovid affixes an epilogue, having just completed the apotheosis of Julius Caesar, and ending on that note of such brazen ass kissing as has ever been attempted in Western literature. The irony of the moment, the fraught nature of the moment, comes to a rather curious denouement. He writes, "My work is finished now. No wrath of Jove, nor sword, nor fire, nor futurity is capable of laying waste to it. Let that day come when, Let that day come then, when it wishes to, which only has my body in its power, and put an end to my uncertain years. No matter, for in spirit I will be borne up to soar beyond the distant stars, immortal in the name I leave behind. Wherever Roman governance extends over the subjects nations of the world, my words will be upon people's lips. And if there is truth in poets' prophecies, then in my fame forever I will live." A lot going on there. A lot that's uncertain. The notion of eternal life, the notion of eternal anything, is completely counter to everything that he has been writing thus far. The notion of change, the notion of change being the governing dynamic of the universe. How does fame, how does notoriety even stand in the face of that? He is, he seems to be asserting something great, just like he did for Augustus. He is now asserting something great for himself. But it does come couched in some ambiguity. The repetition, no wrath of Jove, nor sword, nor fire, nor futurity. Sorry, that sense of the one thing after the other after the other. The building makes it seem all the more suspicious and all the more curious. Interestingly, of course, he does start in that with, well, the wrath of Jove, which is, well, it's a spiritual thing. It requires a fair amount of belief. And then sword, well, that's a little bit more physical, a little bit more human. Fire, a little bit more elemental and uncontrollable. And then the final threat to his potential is futurity, time. Of course, the entire project he is just wrapping up is about the evolution of life and matter through time. So that is very perhaps nuanced in what it's trying to say, and the notion that all of this probably will wash away comes in that little hint. Let that day come then when it wishes to, which only has my body in its power, as if all else washes away and you're left with the physical being, and that's all you have at the end. Again, well, we know what happens to physical beings. Everything deteriorates, everything changes, everything goes away. There is no permanence, there is no immortality, not for the poet. And having just finished a discussion of Julius Caesar and by proxy Augustus, not for political leaders or emperors even either. And that hopeful notion that comes from it, or it whispers a kind of hopefulness. No matter, for in spirit I will be borne up to soar among the distant stars, immortal in the name I leave behind. I have to believe personally that this is kind of sincere. What poet doesn't want his works to live on? What poet doesn't seek and explicitly in the Roman era, this was a common thing, explicitly to become immortal, to achieve immortality through one's writing. It's just another twist on the Gilgamesh, where Gilgamesh is going to leave behind his works and be remembered through them, and so achieve immortality. Here, he seems to be kind of mixed with that. Maybe he understands and he knows logically, like, okay, yeah, everything's going to fall away, everything is bound up in time, everything deteriorates, everything dies. But he still wants it, he still yearns for a kind of immortality, and that notion is in itself tragic. The ability to imagine immortality, the ability to imagine that you have done something in writing this book, you have done something, produced something that will live beyond you, that will have great, indestructible value, and people will appreciate it and you for eternity. That is a beautiful dream. Even as he utters it, he seems to know it's not true. And he even puts in that last little stab at Augustus and his posturing of godlike status and immortality and the stability of the Roman state, the eternity of the Roman state, empire without end, as Virgil put it. Wherever Roman governance extends over the subject nations of the world, my words will be upon people's lips. Empire without end suggests that, well, no, there is no limit to Roman governance. All right, sure, it'll take a little time to ramp up to get around the entire world, but it'll happen. It's foreordained. It is destiny. It's fate. It's fixed. He seems to be hinting here that even in this moment, he knows this is all going to end. This is all silly. And the posturing and the pretending and the bowing and scraping, saying, oh, Augustus, yes, you will be emperor forever. You will live on because the Rome will live on. It will never, ever, 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 ever fall. Well, there is something beautiful in that hope. But even the hope has to change. Even the hope has to fade over time. Maybe it'll get stronger periodically. Maybe it'll fade periodically. Everything changes in Ovid. Everything changes. And as he is saying all this, and he is mouthing these paeans to greatness and to the eternal nature of Rome, he's lying, and he knows it, because, well, he knows he's lying. But if you look at that and see that, well, okay, even something like morals can change, even something like ethics can change. The notion of honesty, does that change? I think so. The idea that no matter what you say, sooner or later it will be turned against you. You can say things very frankly and honestly, but it's going to fade. Ultimately, everything, and this is his point from the very first word, everything changes, fades, or dies.